Good morning and welcome to the Delco Show. This is Tori Fiore, Executive Director of Delaware County's Brandywine Conference and Visitors Bureau, and you are listening to the Delco Show on iRadio Philly. The Delco Show is brought to you by the Delaware County Chamber of Commerce. And before we get into meeting our two guests today from the financial services regime, I'd like to just thank our wonderful sponsors, Primo Hoagies, who provides us with three hoagies today, because Stephen E. Kessler II is a big boy and he needs to get a lot more food than I do. Primo's on Baltimore Pike in Media, great hoagies, all kinds, doesn't make a difference. They'll even, I guarantee you go in there and tell them you want something special, they'll make it for you. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's always great on a Wednesday when we do these shows, folks, because then I don't have to cook dinner at night because I can only eat a half of the hoagie. So I bring the rest of it home. Anyway, Primo Hoagies, and we are broadcasting from another one of our wonderful sponsors, Headroom. Headroom.net. Check them out. It's located right on the corner of State Street and Veterans Square in beautiful downtown Media. Great facilities for, if you need meeting space for a half an hour, a day, a half day, a week, a month, a year. They've got memberships. They got all sorts of great deals. And very, very, very affordable. It's for those folks that need a little more room for a conference or something, all state-of-the-art technology in here, or they're working out of their home and they just want to get away from kids, wife, and or dog. So headroom.net, check them out. Speaking of checking out, let's check out these next two gentlemen, Larry McHugh and Joe Faragasso, both from Mass Mutual Financial Group. It's ufinancialgroup.com. That's the letter U, financialgroup.com. We're going to talk to Larry first because Larry is a born, bred, raised Upper Darby, Delaware County, Delco guy, and Joe is not. So we're going to try really ignore Joe for most of this program, folks.
Nice.
Larry, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great.
How's your Uncle Ben?
Uncle Ben.
And Uncle Barney.
Uncle Barney. I haven't seen him. I think he's still at the tavern. I'm not quite
Uncle
sure.
Ben, I want to buy some rice, okay? I don't know.
Nice.
Anyway, and Larry's an Upper Darby guy, went to Upper Darby High School, graduate of Villanova University. What was your degree in?
Accounting.
Accounting, okay. Yes. And Joe... East Falls in South Jersey, folks. I'm sorry. Is also a Villanova grad. Where'd you go to high school now?
I went to Paul VI in Haddonfield.
Paul VI. I'm familiar with Paul VI. Good Catholic high school. Anyway, guys, and what was your degree in?
Finance and psychology.
What are you, nuts?
Most people are.
Why don't you just call it financial psychology?
Exactly, yeah.
Holy jeez. Okay, guys, all right, you were finance and psychology. God only knows why, but you were accounting.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing this financial services stuff? And we'll find out what it is eventually.
Yep. So I started right out of school, 2002. I've been in the practice for going on 13 years now. I built my career working around with a lot of nonprofits, individuals, and business owners.
Okay.
So we help them through the entire gamut of the financial need, from saving for college, estate planning, business succession, or really just saving for a future home or beach house, whatever it may be.
Okay. And Larry, how about you?
Actually came out, public accounting, taxes, corporate accounting, and got into the
industry.
Yeah, all the exciting stuff.
I got two CPAs, and again, they might as well just be considered dead from like the end, early February straight through April 15th. Between the corporate taxes that got to be filed, individual taxes, then you're filing extensions out the wazoo. It just goes nuts.
Yeah, I actually remember lecturing my professor saying after my first internship, saying, "What's with 60-hour work week? It's mandatory, and that's only what you bill." Yeah. Like, why didn't you warn me? I would have been in finance out of the gate. If I would have, they're like, we wouldn't have anybody in class if we told you the truth.
I'd have become a lawyer for those hours,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So, what made you make the switch, Larry?
Actually, during my internship, I sat right next to the personal financial advisor group, and while I was in college, all my roommates were financial advisors, and they were just like, "What the heck are you thinking going into accounting?" And I was like, "I'm almost finished. I have a job. I'm doing that." So. throughout my career, this was the direction I'd always wanted to go. So, I mean,
Well, I just saw a buddy of mine yesterday. And again, I say a buddy of mine. We've been friends, but you're not old enough to understand to been there yet. We've been friends. We've talked on the phone. Haven't seen each other in 40 years. But we worked together years ago in the TV and radio industry, and he was an accountant.
okay.
And he got out of the business, and now he has a large company called Global Limousines,
Oh, nice.
right out of Philly, right near the U of Penn Medicine and everything. Great, he's got a great business. And his theory when he started it was, he said he always had a pen and a paper if he needed to fall back.
Yeah, exactly.
You can always go back.
You
to
can always
accounting.
go back to
If that
accounting. Is
news
always the way to
fell
go.
through. Yeah.
But I mean, it's the
exactly.
basics of all finance. And
Oh,
so
sure.
from a financial services perspective, if you're 21, who's listening to you with their millions of dollars in investments?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
understanding the building blocks of businesses kind of gives you a whole different perspective, especially tax and things of that sort. All that stuff totally ties together very nicely on either the business planning or individual family planning.
You know what I found
amazing.
out, gentlemen, is that that there's two things that you're probably always going to need, and because I've dabbled in my various careers over the years in finance, not in finance, but in numbers, in budgets, in putting together budgets and final numbers and rate studies and all that sort of stuff. Numbers are you need to know numbers.
No, absolutely, it's very
and you
vital.
need to know how to public speaking.
Yeah.
They're two very important things. Now, Joe, did you guys go to school together or?
There's a brief overlap. So I graduated in 2002. I think you graduated in 98, 99. So there's a little overlap. Never met each other until out, but it's funny how the world works.
You graduated before him.
Yes.
You look so much younger than him.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You poor bastard.
Keep telling people
That South Jersey wearing on me.
Boy, yeah.
Nice. Love that.
Okay, let's get down to it here, guys. You're both financial services professionals. What exactly does that mean? I understand what you said, Joe, that you guide people to, putting away money, saving money, college, buying a home, retirement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a little more than that because it's almost an education process, isn't it, for a lot of novices like us?
It's true, and that's really reflects in the term of the name of the agency, U Financial. We really do take that educational approach with our clients because we want them to understand that this is why you're doing this. This is how this works. And the U also stands for, you. It's about you. This isn't about us. So taking that educational approach, we have to give them the information so they can make an informed decision. That way it's just not a professional telling them what to do. We have to have a journey together for this.
Yeah, and I think it's what at the Visitors Bureau, our job is to make people happy. It's to promote the county, okay? And what I tell people, I think you just used pretty much the words exactly. We tell, we inform, we educate. And then we let people make their decision because people are smart enough to make their own decisions. Once you tell them, you inform them, and you educate them. And once you do that, you're fine. But you have to have, but you've got, you get into this though, Larry, and you look at it, and there's some simple things.
No, absolutely.
And then there's some complex stuff.
Yep.
And let's do an example here, okay?
Well, I'm simple. I mean, the way I look at things is.
No, Larry, no. See, I was going to give you an example.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, this is my show, okay?
Nice. I'm glad I'm taking that over.
But,
nice.
But now, if you want to
This is
give
what
me
happens when you're from Upper Darby. You gotta watch out.
and I love it. And I love it. As long as the guy from South Jersey just sits there with his mouth shut, we're fine, Larry.
Sure, no
okay? But did you have an example? Because I was going to give you an example.
You go. I've got plenty.
Okay.
Good.
My wife and I have been married 30 years.
Okay.
Okay, she was a retired school teacher.
Oh, wow.
I'm still working because she said, I don't want you around the house. Exactly. Pretty much.
Excellent.
But the whole point of our savings over the years was a combination of the kid through college and then now saving for retirement.
Correct.
So that's what we kept on looking at, and it was not getting into the wild, variations of everything. It's just give me the steady. Sure. And I know we can't talk about, stocks or anything like that. Let's go back to, though, my parents, her parents, that was the rich part of the family. I married a very rich girl. God bless her.
Greatest financial plan ever.
Yeah, exactly. I see some of these guys that have their wives never worked a day in their life. They're shopping in malls. They're doing this. They're doing that. I married a rich broad. I said, you're right. It's the best financial plan ever. I like to spend. She likes to save. Everybody walks away happy.
Nice.
But her parents, basically, who were fairly well off, back, he was a World War II guy. She was,
Okay.
but they were buying your GEs, your IBMs, and that all the safe, big corporation safe stuff. Now, people are doing the same, but you've got all these mutual funds and all these different kinds of plans, 401, all this stuff and everything. Then you got the college plan, the TAP program for the grandchildren that they can get into. It drives you nuts after a while. So people, based on their needs, is what you're looking at.
Correct. Yeah, the biggest thing, when most people ask, what do you do? And the simplest way we can explain that is just, we take everything you just said. There's so much out there. There's so many decisions you can make. There's different investments that'll cover everything from A to Z. We as a financial professional, we act as a filter. How do we take all of that and apply it to your specific need? So most people, they say, I want to save for retirement. Well, you can do it the way your parents did it and your wife's parents did. Or, like I say, some people are really aggressive in stocks.
Right.
But where the value of a financial planner or a financial advisor really comes into play is, okay, well, now that you're doing this, there are other things we have to coordinate with that. How does that affect your estate planning? How does that affect your taxes? Most people think, I did a great job saving my 401k with $1 million, and they feel that's a good number. Well, when you sit down with us, sometimes we have to give them the bad news. Okay, well, you do not plan to pay taxes on that because it's really only about $600,000. So, how does that affect your retirement? And putting that plan together is really the value we see is, like I said, acting as a filter and applying it just to the person sitting with us with their plan.
Sure. And you have to include into that also, those that have a pension. It's a locked-in number that they're going to get. Some of them got screwed over the years with the,
depends on where they
in
were,
2008 and all that, when all hell broke loose. And then I got to imagine, because now we look at it, my wife and I at our age, where does Social Security fit into this too?
No, these are great questions you're asking. I mean, specific to your original question, where, like you said, you spent all this time focusing on retirement, and now you're getting to that phase where you're like, okay, so how do we spend it? What do we spend? Basically, where's my paycheck? What is going to make up my paycheck?
Right.
What do I pull from? Is it Social Security? Is that going to cover everything? What expenses do we have? What are we going to do about, medical expenses? They're all, whether we have Medicare, but don't have to have supplements, and areas that most people don't really think about, who's going to cover my healthcare? So those areas are the questions that a lot of times we sit down with people and just like, I don't know what to do. Or someone's retiring and they're like, this is my first day. What do I do? All this time I always thought I was going to do X, I was going to do Y. And the other thing is, even when people are saving, they're just thinking, everything's going to be so much cheaper in retirement. Well, potentially, right? Maybe your mortgage is gone. But what they don't think about is grandkids. I mean, it's always fun to tease, like, people just came out of school and say, well, maybe someday you think about your grandkids, you might want to travel with your grandkids. And like, what does that mean? Well, I was like, well, tell them a great story of a friend of mine. He was a surgeon in Alabama. One kid moves to Pennsylvania, one kid moves to Minnesota, has boys, plays, hockey. He was a doctor. He just, all his life, he was studying, and then he was a doctor. He was always away from home. And he's like, you know what? At this point, I'm going to change my practice. I'm moving to Minnesota, and I'm going to go to every one of those hockey games. And that's what he did.
Good.
I mean, that are some of the things people don't think about earlier in life. So, we'd say, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to have less expenses. Well, it depends on what you want to do. Some people tell us they want to travel. And then there's the other unknown things. What if there's a health two come up? And what do you do, and what is actually covered by Medicare? And
we're going to get into those as soon as we come back from a break. Okay. And the great thing about grandkids, because my two grandsons are 14 and 13 now, they mow the lawn.
They mow the lawn. That's awesome. Yeah.
They put the mulch down. They're worth it at 14 and 13 now.
Excellent.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Delco Show on iRadio Philly. We're speaking with Larry McHugh, Joe Faragasso from Mass Mutual Financial Group. U, the letter U, financialgroup.com. We will be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the Delco Show, ladies and gentlemen. The Delco Show, as you're well aware, is on iRadio Philly. And you're well aware I'm Tori Fiore. And you're well aware that with me is our erstwhile technical wizard, Stephen E. Kessler II. And with us also for the second half of the program, Larry McHugh, Joe Faragasso, financial services professionals with Mass Mutual Financial Group. The letter U, ufinancialgroup.com. Check them out. We're having a wonderful conversation with them. I want to finish up where we were, Larry. We were talking about medical expenses, Medicare, things of that nature. Then I want to start jumping to other things here.
Yes. Okay, so we were talking about when you're in retirement. A lot of times people will say, hey, I want to retire early. And the next question typically is, okay, what have you planned for health benefits? As most people know, it's very expensive. Sometimes $15,000, $16,000, maybe $20,000 a year. And what would be the impact if you retired? Where would that come from? Because Medicare is not going to kick in. When Medicare does kick in, you need a number of supplements, and it also is limited. It doesn't necessarily take into consideration any long-term rehabilitation and nursing home care.
I hear more of that. Absolutely.
And what do you do with that? And obviously there's some protections in the state, but basically there's limits on what your income is, and Medicare doesn't necessarily worry about what's going on with your family. They basically want the money before you can go into a facility. Yeah. And Medicaid facilities may not be where you want to have your family member and have options. And it might be better for you to be at home. How do you plan for that? What would you want to do for that? Would you prefer to be at home? Would you be more comfortable with your loved ones? And your wife or your children may not be specialists. So you might need professional care, and how would you cover that? So some of those areas come into play. You also talked about Social Security. Social Security, major concern right now for most people, not because they're worried about it not being there. They're concerned, how do I file? What do I do? What's the complications if I was married? What if I was divorced?
Yeah.
When do I do it? What year should I wait? My family lives a long time. My family has health issues. These are all specific individual questions that we address with individuals.
Guys, I just started reading a book, and I don't try to read the whole thing through because I'm going to want to shoot myself.
Okay.
But it's on Social Security.
Sure.
What you're basically saying, what you're leaving on the table.
Yeah.
And it started, and I'm looking at this, and you hit the nail on the head, Larry. It talks about Social Security for divorced couples.
Yes.
Yep. And then they talk about, which still gives me a headache to try to figure this out, you can take survivor benefits before the person dies.
Well,
or you can apply and then decline them. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right.
You almost got it.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that now. Yeah. There was so much of, and you look,
it's
and
very
you go,
complicated.
And then you may want to apply. The wife may want to apply for the husband because his is going to be higher than hers, and
she can let hers grow over time.
Holy jeez.
Yeah, and that's really one of the key points that we spend a lot of time with our clients about. So if I were to ask you with a married couple, how many different variations of Social Security can they claim? Most people will name probably 3 or 4. Mathematically, there's actually 567 different ways a married couple can claim Social Security. And each of them,
I was going to say 20 or 30. Yeah. Holy jeez.
Yeah, and none of them were shocking the first time we heard that. And each consequence or each decision you make is irrevocable. Whatever you choose, you are stuck with for the rest of your life. Yeah. And Social Security, the administration, the offices, as good as they are and as helpful as they are, they're really looking for what's the most you can get in your pocket today. So they're not looking at, and they're not getting the guidance or really able to give you the guidance of how do we put this into a true financial plan. So one of the common ones we see is the file suspend that you were talking about. And that can equate to hundreds of thousands of dollars difference over the course of that couple's life.
Yeah.
So when you choose a financial professional, you want to make sure that somebody has that knowledge. You don't want to sit down with somebody who's just going to look at one facet of your financial world. So there are so many different caveats you have to look at. You don't want to just focus on one, because if you spend your time just honing in on one, you're going to miss something else. And Social Security is one that's been overlooked quite a bit. I mean, we've had a client that we sat down and said, we told you should take this strategy with Social Security. Great, okay, let's do this. We had a 6-month review with them and said, did you do that? And it's like, oh no, my friend said, that's not what she did. And
my friend said
exactly.
And so it's our greatest competitor is the friend. But thankfully, because we knew what we were doing, we knew the rules, we knew the procedure that needed to be placed, we're actually able to go back and have them backdate that application.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we're able to fix that. But that was a very rare occasion. Sometimes people don't do that, and once you hit that year, it's irrevocable.
Yeah.
So you have to take everything into consideration when you're doing your financial strategies.
Oh yeah, I know you have to, and you know, there's so many different ways to look at this. Again, you know, and without elaborating on it, but you know, we're pretty set. We're in good shape, my wife and I. Okay, and anything that we made on investments, we never took a dime. Just plow it back in, plow it back. Even when everything went down into the crapper, put it back in, put it back. We never took a dime out.
Yeah.
Just kept on, I guess, rolling it over is a term, something like that. And now we're at a point where, okay, I have what I call my little hidden treasure trove.
Okay.
Well, it's not hidden now. You just said it.
This is the fun.
Well, okay,
This is the fun money.
You know, I'm hoping she doesn't listen to this show at 10 o'clock on Wednesday mornings. And I forget the other stuff. This was just some extra cash.
Sure.
I started to dabble a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think I'm at the age now where it's okay to play a little.
Sure.
Let's not go nuts.
Yeah.
But if you want to play, play. And, you know, with my guy, it was talking about this, let's get this. And we did a couple of things. And it's interesting because I never really paid attention to it.
Sure.
I was ignorant of all of this stuff. But now he's got me looking at the closing, at the you know, I mean, you know, all at the stock letters and everything. And it's like fascinating as you see this go through and how you can put a bid in at different levels. It's actually an interesting business. And I can see why you guys kind of like it. It's nifty.
Yeah.
You know? And it's fun. It seems like it's fun.
It is. It is exciting. And that's really what we see. And that's, you know, part of most financial planners, you know, we do that in the background. You know, most of our clients, they don't really care that I can calculate the alpha of a stock. But they care that I want to know.
You can?
I can.
Oh, my.
But they want to know that I understand how that math applies to their individual situation. Yeah. And that's what's really key. And having to play money is fun. I mean, it is interesting. It's amazing to see how this works and how quickly money changes hands. And, you know, you can really get invested in a company. You can kind of follow them, what they're doing in the news. You can see how their competitors are dealing their places.
You can see how the news affects it.
Yep, yeah. Exactly.
And how a bad story, how somebody sneaks in a piece of crap story. Yeah. And it affects it by going down.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, the Dow will go down 30 points for a rumor that the Dow will go down 30 points today.
Yeah,
It's one of those things. It is exciting to see that interconnectivity of our, you know, the world we live in today. But it all comes down to the purpose of the savings account. So we do a lot of educational seminars with companies, major companies throughout the state, and that's one of the questions that always comes up. It's like, well, how do I save? What's the right place to save? Give me a stock I can save in. And the first question we ask is, well, what are you saving for? What is the purpose of this?
Yes. Why? Yeah.
And that's really comes down to what are we trying to accomplish? Because, you know, if you're trying to save for a house, I'm not going to say go buy this stock at all in because there's volatility there. But if it's, hey, look, maybe I'm just trying to get some extra cash. Okay, well, let's come up with some kind of portfolio that meets that need, and we have to figure out what it is. You know, we don't have a lot of people saying, I want to buy gold bars to save for retirement. Okay, you know, it's like,
some people say that.
Some people say that. But, you know, it has to have a purpose to it.
Yeah.
So having to play money, we have plenty of clients that we have money set aside and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do on my own. I'll try doing this on my own. It's like, okay,
yeah,
and then we'll do little fun things. Okay, well, if at the end of the quarter you beat me, I'll buy you lunch. You know, stuff like that. But you know, you got to keep it. It just has to have some.
But
purpose,
Joe, I don't even do that.
Oh,
I get my guy Jimmy.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and he'll send me. You know, he'll say, and I'll go, well, what if we did this? And then he would say, well, here's the and damn if he wasn't right. You know, don't raise the bid price. It's going to come back. And it did come back. And now it's back up again. But when you look, and this is the little, and again, I may be saying something that may be out of school or wrong, but it's got to be money that if you lose it, it's okay. I mean, is that pretty valid?
It is. And whenever we invest, the one thing I say to all my clients is, look, I do this for a living. I've been doing this for almost 12 and a half years now. I understand the markets. I understand what I'm doing. But I also understand this is your money. And you have to be comfortable with what we're doing.
If you want to put it under the pillow, put it under the pillow.
If you're not comfortable with it, the plan that we put together, it's not going to work because you're not going to be comfortable with it. You're not going to follow through on it. It's going to be timid. You're not going to have conviction in it, and you're going to stray from the path. Yeah. So it's very important to be. You have to be able to tolerate what you're doing. I always talk to people and say, how aggressive should I be? It's like, okay, well, think of it this way: would you put $10,000 on black in the roulette. And it's like, oh, no. I was like, but if you win, you get a pretty nice payday. But if I lose, it's a lot of money. So that's what the mindset you have to do when you invest. What's comfortable. Mm-hmm. But as responsible professionals, we have to identify that, because we do have some people say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And we can't just take it and do it, because we do have, and we take our jobs very seriously, and the licenses we do have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we are making prudent investments.
Absolutely. And the kicker to me was when I looked at it, after close yesterday, and then we shared emails this morning after it opened and everything, and he told me what transpired, because I didn't follow it when it had to drop, then went back up, and then you think and you go, wow, I just made $520 today. That's fun. But you don't want to do that with everything. Speaking of responsibility and all that sort of stuff, again, and guys that are experts in the field, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like just to reintroduce Larry McHugh and Joe Faragasso, Mass Mutual Financial Group, the letter U, financialgroup.com. Check them out. They're two very nice young men. Anybody from Villanova is a nice young man, and especially if you're from Upper Darby. Jury's still out on you, sunshine. Just check them out. It's Mass Mutual. Now, I want to get to another couple. We got about 3.5 minutes left here. Another couple of things is that you need to be flexible, don't you?
Absolutely.
You have to have flexibility in what you're doing. So that, because I guess really where I'm coming from is, isn't there some sort of a breakout? You need this much cash on hand that can last you through whatever, this much in this much in that. I mean, is there a formula in that?
Well, before you get into the formula, actually, flexibility and what that means, and explaining that to individuals or families, is flexibility is to have multiple tools to use when something unexpected comes up. For example, none of us can predict the day you go to retire where the stock market will be.
Sure.
Is that somewhere, if it's down 40, 50%, is that the time do you want to start pulling just from there? If something arises with someone's health and there's one income in the family, is the wife able to leave being home with the children and go back to work and make the same income? And what solutions are there for that? God forbid, somebody's, like take the Amtrak situation. Someone, you're just going home, something happens.
Yeah.
How does that impact the family? How does that impact the business and things of that sort? So some of those areas are where the flexibility, and that's the definition to a certain extent of flexibility, is having tools and planning things now to have flexibility when those unforeseen things happen in the future.
Right. It makes it very interesting, guys. We got about 1.5 minutes left here. Is there anything that you want to get in? Anything I may have missed? I guess the simplest thing is one thing. I look at some notes now and then. How soon should I start? The sooner the better, I guess. What's the old axiom? If you started at 20 years old and you put X amount of hundreds of dollars away at 20, what's it worth at 60 or at?
No, absolutely. That's absolutely true. We do some, education to even kids, and trying to talk to them about the basics and doing things consistently over a long period of time. So we always use this example where if you put $1 a day away, and they usually have 55 years before they retire, if they're around age 10, that would turn into potentially $1 million. If you had the similar, last 55 years, same results for the next 55 years. And it's $1 a day, but when you kind of break that all down, that's less than $20,000.
Yeah.
But it's a consistency over time. Even the small contributions, they add up. That's the piece most people want to figure out. I can come up with a one-time solution. Maybe it's a lottery ticket. Like, that's going to fix it.
Yeah. So instead of when the two grandsons come over and I don't want to be bothered, I hand them $1 each and I go, "So go see me, Mom. I should take that $1 and save it."
Yep. I'm gonna put this $30 away for you, Mom.
Then they won't. Then they won't do the lawn.
They will be so happy with you in a couple of years.
Guys, we could talk about this continuously.
Sure.
And I know there's certain things that you can talk about, can't talk about. I think we did pretty good on staying away from those things because I can go home and get yelled at, okay? I don't have to get yelled at on the air.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry McHugh, Joe Faragasso, Mass Mutual Financial Group, ufinancialgroup.com. This is the Delco Show, iRadio Philly, Tori Fiore. See you later.